I can. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I won't eat my chips during this. My munchos.
You want to give folks a few more minutes, or are we ready?
You know, Katie should be, are we at, Katie was going to call in. I know she had to drive to Glenwood, but let's give it a few more minutes and then we'll jump in because we have, okay, including me. If we get another one, that's great.
Sounds good.
I see you, Mary Jo. Hello.
Hello. Yes, Katie's going to call in, so she might be a few minutes getting.
Oh, I didn't send her the phone number. Did you pass it on?
I told her to check her computer.
Hold on. Okay.
I'm going to shut my door.
Sticky notes everywhere. It's hard to know. Glasses, no glasses.
I'm real close up. I need the glasses, but
So you can't sit in the front row of the movie theater?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. I think Katie will.
We can wait. I don't want to rush you guys. I just let me know whenever you're ready. We can. I'm just waiting on you guys.
Well, I think she'll get in here soon, so I think we can go ahead and jump in. We'll be okay.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi.
All right, this is cool. I get to talk to you guys across many states. I'm based in Ohio.
I was wondering, guys, like my clock is wrong. I said it's almost time to go home.
Well, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate your time. My name is Rishu Mahalha. I am an economic advisor. I've been working with some of the leaders in Grand County now for the last, it's been a while. Since the beginning of last year, we've been working with them on just a variety of different conversations. And so it's so nice to be able to speak to you guys. We have some ideas, some concepts we want to share with you, get your feedback. Would love to hear who's on the call here today with us.
We'll go for it. I guess I'm Kathy, and I work in human resources with the hospital.
Okay.
And I've worked with Diane before in a different capacity.
And I'm Candy Jansen. I'm with Environmental Services.
What was your name? I'm sorry.
Candy.
Candy.
Candy
Yep.
Jansen.
Great.
I'm Mary Jo Hargadine, and I am a registered nurse.
Great. Who's on the call?
Katie with Middle Park.
Great. Who else?
That's probably it.
That's it. Okay, good enough. Okay, well, thank you so much. Give me 1 second.
How was your drive, Katie?
It's a long one. Sorry, a lot.
It was pretty.
Sorry about that. Okay.
I'm still in Summit.
Oh,
Okay.
Well, it's
So
pretty there too.
I know it's Friday afternoon. You guys have a lot going on. Probably looking to wrap up the week. So I'll try not to take the entire hour. I want to give you a real quick background on what we're talking about. Then we'll get into the details. So really quick, over the last year and a half, we've been talking about different ways in which we could be supporting, we being the community, the county, the government, how could we be working together more effectively to help support local businesses, institutions. So we've talked about a lot of different ideas. One of the pieces that we've made a fair amount of progress on is the sort of addressing the central issue of employee recruitment, retention, etc. It seems to be a very common theme across all the businesses across Grand County. So to help with this, we have developed a portal, a fairly simplistic portal that can help us provide some basic information and support to our businesses, and also help our local employees, local talent, find opportunities for them. So we built a platform. It's not launched. We've got it some prototype data in here, and we just wanted to share some of your insights on what you think, especially given some of your experiences working at the hospital. Very curious to see what you think, how well this could work, and any feedback you have on ways in which we could improve it and make it more relevant. We'd love to hear your feedback. Does that make sense?
yes.
Great. The other thing I would add is we've been talking to a lot of businesses in the hospitality tourism industry, and the hospital I know is a little bit of a different type of a organization. It's much more, call it stable employment, a lot less. I imagine it's less seasonal fluctuations. I'm sure there's seasonal ramp up, ramp down, but I would think generally fairly stable employment. Is that a fair assumption? Okay. So some of the features that I'll talk about may not be perfectly relevant to you, but please do think about it. And I'm sure people that work in some of these other industries, think about them and how this could be helpful to them.
So let me interject real quickly right here. Even though we're not seasonal, we do experience high turnover. And that being said, the challenges that the other folks are experiencing in the community around the cost of living, the housing, all that kind of stuff, we have that as well. So we're not hiring seasonal employees, yet we're going through a fair amount of employees every year.
Got it. Perfect. That's good to know. Okay, so we will jump right in, and the themes you mentioned are exactly the themes we're trying to address. One is housing always comes up as a major issue for our employees. Second is, are you hearing an echo?
Yes.
A little bit. Is there something on our end we can do that?
Yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute all of you. If you can maybe raise your hand. You can unmute yourself, but if you raise your hand, I'll be happy to unmute you. That way we won't get a lot of background noise.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, can you hear me better now? Yes? Okay, good. So was there a question? Unmute? You're good.
We're good.
All right, got it. Well, I want to keep you unmuted because I want to hear you guys. So let's try it unmuted and see if this works. And if it doesn't, I'm going to mute you guys. Okay. So we know housing is a challenge. No, I can hear the echo. Yeah. Sorry. I'll mute us. Okay. There we go. So we know housing is a challenge. The other challenge is Grand County, especially as we're looking to recruit employees from other communities outside of Grand. Unfortunately, Grand doesn't have a strong enough brand. So people aren't looking for specific employment opportunities in Grand compared to, say, Keystone or some of the other more nationally renowned areas. So we just have to work a little harder to identify those potential employees, and more importantly, find ways in which we can place our information that can help our employees connect with employers, connect with resources in a more central, coordinated manner. So that's what we're trying to do, is put all the content in more easy to get to way. And the third piece is just with the job posting themselves, we'll see, you'll see a couple of themes. There's several organizations that have, call it counter cycle employment. There are winter businesses, there are summer businesses. There are businesses that sort of really, go into a slump mode in the shoulder seasons. So one of the concepts we've been talking about is there a way in which we could better identify, let's assume like you have that you have no employees. You just identify all the jobs in each business. If you can identify all the jobs over the course of the year, you'll see some places of employment that have spikes in the wintertime, others that spike in the summertime. Being able to identify that trend and then making that information available to potential employees so that as people leave one seasonal job, it's easier for them to go from one type of job to another, because right now finding that information, navigating the system is pretty hard. So those are some of the things that we've thought about. So we've created this portal that I'll show you and welcome your thoughts. So I'll walk through one function and then I'll pause and I'll get your feedback and then we'll go to the next thing. So let's begin. It's called Business 911. It's just a bare bones shell of a website. We tried to keep it very, very simple. We're going to be adding more sort of glitz and sizzle to it, but right now we just wanted to focus on function, make sure the function works for what people need it to do. And I'm going to only share with you 3 things today. One is, what does the jobs posting piece looks like, way to track individuals, and third is way to track housing. And I welcome your feedback. So on the property side, what we're trying to do is, one second. What we're trying to do is look at I said jobs. We want to look at what types of jobs are available in our community, where they're located. So anyone coming to the site can pretty easily identify who are the major employers in the region. My computer's acting up just a little bit. Here we go. So very easily we can identify who the major employers are. So what we can do is we can look at our employers by town. We can look at our employers by industry. So if a person is looking for a certain type of a job, they can find which businesses are most relevant to them. And then I can click on the individual business and I can get some basic sense for what that business is all about. The folks that work at the business can update this information, and each one of these forms is really straightforward. It's basically one single page that you have to update. You can put in your pictures, you can upload videos, you can talk about who you are. And then what you can also do is, for each employer, we can identify all the jobs that are open for them at any given time. So right here, you would have a sort of portal for yourselves. You would identify what industry you're in, how many jobs are open, where you're located. What we encourage employers to do is really identify, this is a really important theme you're going to hear in this entire conversation, which is quality of life. We need to find ways in which we can make quality of life better for our employees. So anything we can be doing to talk about what quality of life opportunities you have through your business, we want to highlight. It could be things like by working at the hospital, you have an opportunity to gain access to improved healthcare. It could be, any perks of working there, et cetera, et cetera. Just letting folks know that not only is it a job, not only it's a paycheck, but there are these additional support mechanisms that are also available. Did you have a question? Should I unmute you? One sec. I got it.
I was trying to do it myself.
Yeah, that's perfect. Go ahead.
So it looks like, the businesses are going to own their pages as far as keeping content relevant, logos, et cetera, like that.
Yes.
Are the actual jobs to be posted here, or are you going to link out to like our website where we post jobs?
We can do it either way.
Okay.
So that's something we want to know from you. What do you prefer to do?
Well, because I post them, I would prefer to have someone click to somewhere where I'm already posting it versus having to redo something.
Sure. Now here's
But it depends how much work it is. So
Sure.
that's me being very selfish and personal.
No, I get it. So what we can do is, if it's easier, this is why we're talking, because we wanted to figure out what would work the best for you. Let me identify potentially 3 options. Option 1 is you post it on your website, and we link. At the bottom of this, there's a link for jobs. Go to location X. Now, there's benefits and drawbacks. Benefit is it makes your life easier. The data will be current, so you don't have to putz around with updating information multiple sites. The drawback is if someone's looking to figure out where the jobs are and do some filters on types of jobs, it's a little harder because your jobs, right now I can see right away that there's one job available at Winter Park. I just won't have that visibility. We're sending a person to multiple sites to find the information.
Right. Yeah. It's pushing them out. Yeah.
Yes. So that's option 1. Option 2 is where you come and update this site. Now, it just flips the equation, which is now it's harder for you, but it's easier for the employee. There's a third option also that we can consider, which is we can set it up where if you give us a mass upload, so if you can give us a spreadsheet, we can set it up in a way where you just fill out, here's the jobs, here's the latest information, we just upload it. And because it's a little bit of technical piece to it, we would do it for you in the short term. Eventually, we can create a mechanism right on the site where you can just upload the information. And you could, every week, what you could do is if you're keeping like a spreadsheet that has all your jobs, everything sort of set in certain columns, you would just upload all the information, and in one sort of mechanism, you'd have all the data uploaded. So I can think of 3 options, and whichever ones you prefer, it's up to you.
Any of those would work. I was just curious because, I think you do lose some traction if you exit the site.
Yes, correct. So tell me, from your perspective, rate those 3 options in the order that you prefer them.
And I prefer them, or might be best for others.
Both.
Obviously my preference is not to do multiple inputs.
Yep.
Because I think that just begs inconsistencies and mistakes.
Yep.
I could go either way. From a branding standpoint for myself, I like the idea of linking people out to our website so they can see more about Middle Park Health.
Yep.
So if you're moving to the community, it's not just about jobs. It would take them out to see what type of healthcare is available.
Yep.
Because our jobs are posted where it shares, we have a surgical center and a specialty clinic and more information. So I would say that's beneficial
Yep.
to a potential resident of the county.
Yep.
Because a lot of people would think if they're moving to a county as rural as we are, they would have to go get their major health care elsewhere. They don't know that they could get it all here.
Yeah.
So I think there are some attractors. Mary Jo, what do you think? Oh, you're muted, I think.
I could see her talking, but she doesn't.
Let me see.
Oh, okay, start again, Mary Jo.
I think we need to have them be able to link to our website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
I think you're going to hear that a lot from different businesses because of the energy and time they put into their sites.
So this is the this is exactly the issue we're trying to contend with, which is part of what we're trying to do is make here, getting feedback again. Part of what we're trying to do is, you know what, I think we may have solved it. That should work. So we're trying to make lives easy for our potential employees, because if you can sort of play the scenario out where we list maybe 20, 30 employers, and then we can sort of see at an aggregate that there are, I don't know, 100 jobs open, 200 jobs open, but to find the specific flavors of jobs, if an employee has to go to 30 different sites, yes, it's helpful because they get to see what the employer is, but another community that's able to aggregate that information and by simply filtering some options, I can see, oh, here's the 12 jobs that are perfect for me, let me apply. It's a trade-off. And so, go ahead.
No, so I think one option around that would, instead of posting each and every job, maybe just have big buckets of categories that could help give a flavor of what the jobs are. You know, like mountain operations, food and beverage, hospitality, you know, like that wouldn't necessarily entail having to post every job, but it certainly would give a potential candidate a whole lot more insight as to the variety.
What's going on, sure. What do you think? So what do you think about if you had to, do you maintain some sort of a spreadsheet with all the job openings? Is that something you're doing?
Sometimes. Yeah. Depends on the day.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, how open would you be? Because honestly, I think that's probably the best compromise we have. If we want to, ideally we have perfect data, because something else that we're looking to do is actually have a perfect insight on right now, at any given time, we want to be able to tell how many jobs are open in our community right now. And so there's some reporting mechanisms that we're building on this data platform as well that could potentially help us identify in Winter Park, we have 17 jobs open. In Grand, we have,
okay.
So my hope is
that would work, and it could serve a dual purpose internally as well. So
yeah, okay.
It's probably some regulatory and controls I need on my end too. So I could.
So you're open. So you prefer the link, but you're open to the spreadsheet. Is that right?
Yeah. No, I would. You know, if there is a template, yeah, I could absolutely do that and then just update it.
Okay.
That would be fine.
Okay. Perfect.
Look how easily you sold me on that.
All right. So that was the first piece. So this is us looking at the overall employer story. Now we can dive in. This is where you'll see some of the filters that I was telling you about. So now we can go into the details of every job. So this is, and this is just some dummy data we've put in here, but I want you to see how on the left, people can sign up for job alerts. Anytime there's a new job posting, I can filter by location. I can filter by industry. I can filter by job function. What do people want to do? I can filter based on qualification, experience level. And this is something that we've created specifically for Grand County, which is especially for our seasonal employees, jobs, being able to say, you know, I know I'm going to be rolling off a job in March, and I'm looking for a job that starts in April. Or, you know what, I know I want to take a month off to do something. I want to come back in April or in June or July. Being able to put time stamps and the start and end date of different positions so that people can sort of pre-apply for jobs. Even though a job may not be, because right now what happens is, if you look at the way the systems are built in, either a job's open and hiring or they're not. So you can look at what's going to be coming available in the future. So in each job posting, now we're tracking information at that level. Is when does the job open? When does the job close? We want to be, I need your feedback on this. We need to be much more transparent upfront on our salary and benefits. I know.
Benefits, yes.
Maybe we start by a range. but because I'll tell you, let me take even a step back. Here's what's going on, ladies. The job market, not just in Grand County, but nationally, has fundamentally changed, and it's not going to go back to the way it was for a very, very long time. Knock on wood, barring any major recession. We now, in America, for the first time, we have a scenario where we have more jobs open in the country than there are people looking for labor jobs. So the reason I'm saying that is we have to be much more transparent, much more accessible to employees right up front, because those employers that are going to be transparent, if a person's spending an hour at the end of a day looking for a job, those employers that are doing a better job of conveying their benefits, their salary packages, they will attract the best talent. Now, not to say that, you can't continue in alternate modes, but what we're trying to do is truly give Grand County a distinct advantage over all the communities. So anyone coming to our site right away sees all the information they need to see. Let me pause there and just get your reactions to how we may be able to get there. Maybe it's not something we do overnight, but how could we eventually get there?
Mary Jo, I'm interested in, I know you're muted, your thoughts on this because you have history. I would not say we have a culture of transparency around wages, although perhaps we would be able to provide a entry level, like starts at and may vary depending on experience. We might be able to give the low end something.
Yeah.
But the range for an RN is pretty large depending on experience.
It is very large. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might try the low end, like a new grad. You might put a new grad type wage and then say, we'll consider whatever for experience. I don't know. It's hard.
Well, and maybe it's tiered, because I would hesitate to only put the entry level because you're going to scare your applicants away.
Right, because it's low. Yeah.
Which position you're hiring for, I would give a band for. So if it's a seasoned nurse, there's a band for that. Just so if it's a specialized nurse, then I think about it. But the point is, transparency is king or queen. We just want to make sure that, and there's no hard and fast rules. This is a conversation. We're trying to figure out what's the appropriate amount. The more information we can share with our employees, the better. Now, every employer won't be in a position to do that, but this is what we need to just talk through.
Yeah, no, and it's a big question, and I don't disagrry with it. Governments have been doing it for years, where they put that band out there.
Yep.
I'm fairly new to this position, and that's just my take. It has not been a culture of transparency around that.
Yep. Okay, let's keep going. So you can see when I'm on the site, I can share a job. I can email the job to my friends and colleagues so they can see what job I'm interested in. We can put the details. Really, I'm highlighting that we want to be able to talk about the benefits, what it's like to work there, combination of putting this information on the job posting and then also on the description for the business. So that's, it's pretty standard stuff. You'll notice there is a start date and end date, as we talked about. That can be changed. The other thing I also wanted to highlight was requirements. So here's a question for you. For skills, do we want to put in some standard skills, or do you want people to be able to type in? So we can have an open, almost like a text field, a bullet point list that you can type in and say, need people to be able to do functions A, B, C, these types of skills. Or we can give you sort of a drop-down set of options with checkboxes where you can check on, they must have, certain categories of experiences. Now, obviously, this has to be somewhat generic because A hospital is going to need certain type of specific skill sets than maybe a ski resort does. So any thoughts on that front, what you'd prefer? And the benefit, and I'll shut up after this, the benefit of having predefined skill sets is that then people can search on those skills, right? They can do a filtered search and be able to find the jobs that are best fit for them. So what's your thoughts there?
My initial thought is, at the end of the day, most of the jobs we're hiring here come down to very specific certifications and licensures.
Yeah.
And so if you couldn't pre-populate, and depending on the job, that could vary.
Yeah.
Now, if there was a drop down that allowed people to list, that perhaps that would work. Mary Jo, what are your thoughts? Because I mean, I know at the end of the day, if you don't have these 5 things, it has to go.
I agree. That sounds good. Yeah, there's certain certifications you are looking for, but certainly someone could put in some of their specialties,
Okay.
The drop box. Yeah.
Perfect. So it's a combination that works.
Uh-huh.
Talk about application. When someone says they're interested in applying for a job, when they click on this, do you want that link to take you to your website, to send an email? Right now, the way it's set up, when you're posting the job, let me see if this comes up. When I'm posting a job, there's an option. So you'll notice it's one-page posting. There is, let me see. Where you see how to apply via website or via email. So based on what you select, either you can enter in an email address or you can put in, website or email address as the link. Do those seem like the appropriate ways for applicants to reach out to you, or you want to put a phone number there too?
No, I think that's the right way.
Okay. Perfect. Sounds good.
Cindy's number?
Personal cell phone number, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so that is the jobs piece. So you saw the way businesses will have a profile created, and then we'll have the individual's jobs created. And obviously you have all these filters. So I can click here and then look, okay, when do jobs start? And I can pick on that, or I can look and see, I know that I only have so many months before I have to do something else. So I can look and pick a job that I know ends at a certain time because that's a seasonal job. So I can run those filters too.
Okay.
Any reactions to what you saw so far on the jobs piece? Does it work?
I think if I'm new to the community and I'm looking, I think this is very helpful.
Okay.
Katie, are you still in Summit?
Perfect. Okay.
She may have been starting.
One sec. All right. So now let me show you. So you saw, and I wanted to show you the add new job. We're still working on this. This is not perfect, but this is it's a one-page job listing board. So you come in here, title, description, put some basic information in, and the benefits, any upload, if you want to tie any attachments, so you can do that. And like I said, we can set up a spreadsheet. So if you give us this information, we can just, do a mass upload of all the data as well. So that's how the jobs are updated.
Okay.
The third piece that I want to show you is the properties piece. So this obviously, big issue that we're hearing from our local employees in how difficult it is to find housing. So we've set up a system for people to be able to find basically short-term, we're calling it seasonal housing or year-round housing. Those are the two options. And it's a pretty straightforward site. It's exactly what you would expect to see. Here's I can do a filter based on the type of property. I can do a filter based on seasonal, long-term. Eventually, people can also put in, if there's properties for sale, Is it available or not? This what I thought was interesting, because if there's someone who rents out, say, you know, a lot of the businesses have seasonal rental properties. So rather than having to recreate properties every season, you can just go in and flag certain properties as having been rented, so you don't have to then go and update that information again and again. So that's options there.
Where are you getting the property information?
Right now, we just went to a couple of local sites and pulled this information in. So it may or may not be accurate, but this is just a way to show what, you know, how the data would be structured.
Okay.
And then so you know, obviously you have all the standard filters on here. I can look and see where the properties are. I can click on the details, look at the property.
You ain't gonna find nothing for that price.
We like
Yeah.
You guys were all gonna jump on it, huh?
It's expensive to live up here.
I know, I see it. You guys should move to Cleveland, Ohio. And one of the things, by the way, you're not seeing it on here, we're also going to add on here is the same feature of renting from and rent to. So if there's a rental property that's available for a season and the owner knows it's going to come back available, say in the summer, in the shoulder season in 2019, they can flag it so that people can start. This is the whole point. See, right now what's going on is it's very binary. Things are on or things are off. Jobs, either people are recruiting or people are not recruiting. Either someone's has a property for rent or they don't. What you're not able to do is think 6 months, 8 months, 12 months out and say, okay, 12 months from now, just because you have such a population that's constantly moving and fluctuating, people are coming in, people are leaving, they need the ability to be able to look further out and be able to plan for what's going to happen next summer. Do I have a place to stay next summer? And so hopefully with these little tools, little enhancements, we can help people plan better.
And I think our employee population, this is where I do think we differ from the resort and leisure sector, is folks who want to be in that sector, they will show up and they will move.
Yeah.
And kind of figure it out when they get there.
Yes.
The difference is I am recruiting from Ohio. I am recruiting nurses from Chicago.
Yeah.
So knowing when things are coming in off the market makes a difference.
Yeah.
But we're recruiting professionals in.
Yeah.
Where the more entry level types of jobs we're pulling from the local community, just like the ski resorts do. But for us to staff our RN positions or radiology, those types of things, people are relocating here specifically, and this has become obviously a big issue for them. Yeah, versus folks who are already in the community and jumping jobs a little bit. So that's a huge difference I see coming out of the resort industry for multiple years in this particular sector.
Perfect. That I like that. So that is, now these are some of the details we're working on. Right now, we did a fair amount of research just to see where people are posting. So you have a Facebook site where people post property listings. There's Craigslist. There's also like forrent.com, properties.com. And in none of those sites, we found to have a good, consistent data set on where the properties are. So one of the questions I have for you, first of all, do you guys have your own properties? Do you have corporate housing?
Minimal. And we have temporary housing for people to help maybe up to 45 days. And it's people in a shared.
Got it.
In a house. So we have a few out there, but they're certainly not meant for long-term. And I do have some contacts within that's why I was curious, because I have people who call me that are property owners saying, we're looking to rent. Do you have any employees looking?
Got it.
They like having the professionals in their units versus the transient resort crowd.
So that's a great point. So one of the things we're trying to figure out is, it's, technology, websites like this are a dime a dozen. That's not where the magic is. The magic is, how do we get people to use it, and how do we make sure that it meets the sort of micro needs that people have? So let's just talk about that. If we were to launch this, say, in 2 months, in 8 weeks or so, our thought was to set it up in a way where we can find maybe the 6 to 12 major employers, have them start to use it, get their jobs on here. If they have properties, get those on here, just to create at least some usability of the site. And we can sort of test it out and see how well things are working.
Mhm.
Have your employees review, share this with them and see, do they find it helpful? And without making a big splash in the community, just let our internal users tell us what they like and don't like.
So you do a soft launch on that?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So soft launch, late November. I don't know, that timing is probably, I don't know what you think of the timing, but that's the idea, is to just kind of work out the kinks a little bit before we take it out to the broader community. What do you think? You guys would be open to something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could absolutely participate in that. Mary Jo, both Mary Jo and Candy are hiring managers here.
Yeah.
And so I am curious, and Mary Jo would be responsible for bringing people in from out of state. Find something like this useful as you're talking to potential nurses?
Definitely. Yeah.
And Candy, in your case, you're hiring more people in the community. What's your thought on usefulness for existing folks in the community?
Housing, childcare, people would want to know if they have a permanent position, if they were to be hired, and would they have access to housing, good housing, would they have access? Because this is a real community. I mean, in the wintertime, it's hard to get around.
Okay.
So your busing system, we don't have any of that up here. We don't have good child care up here. We have no child care facility in the community. People just have to find friends, neighbors.
So
That's the problem for me, to find somebody who want to stay here and work, because the wage isn't that high to where they can pay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the website's going to solve that problem. But is
So
it
we're
going
going to give them a link
right
to somebody who could help them solve that.
Okay, so is it going to be those ancillary concerns of linking out to early childhood? Okay.
Yeah, so that's a great point. I want to point you to
Jared
what's that?
I like Jared Polis is on there.
Well, I'm sorry, what's on there?
Isn't that's he's running for governor, isn't he?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're creating, again, it's all dummy data in here. We're putting in here a resource catalog, a really simple way for, especially you, the employers, what resources employees talk about, and really focusing on the high quality resources, whether it's childcare, whether it's transportation, et cetera, et cetera. So what we want, again, the idea is I want to root it back to quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we could be doing to improve the quality of life for our employees is to give them the information they most desperately need as easily as possible. Especially, think of it this way. If you've got, 5,000, 3,000 people that are pouring into the county for part-time seasonal work, and they're working in different places, every single one of those people is struggling with the same set of issues: finding housing, finding childcare, transportation, et cetera, et cetera. So if we could save them 2 hours for those, say, not even all 3,000, 1,000 people, we can save them 2 hours. Collectively, we've created a huge value for that employee base. And what's really important to note is there are no silver bullets. There's no one thing that'll solve our problems. But what we do is use these platforms as a way to engage with our employees to figure out what's working, what's not working. And we keep evolving and building functions in here to help them with whatever their next issue is going to be. We sort of anticipate their issues and then we build it in. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here.
And I'm assuming that I would assume Diane's working with the towns around this, because that's the other thing that I would say. I don't want to say it's unique about Grand County, but it's different in Grand County, is that you have this huge Winter Park and Kremling could not be more different.
Yeah.
It's not a common field versus Summit County. Yeah, you're in uniform, but it's not Breckenridge, but it's still
right.
So I think that's something that is unique about Grand County, is the diversity.
Great point.
Yeah, going from that destination place to very rural ranching, not amenities that are accessible.
Yes.
So,
right.
And that's a tough thing to capture, I think, the diversity that way.
Great point. Okay. So as we think, let's think much more tactically now. So as we think of a potential late November launch, if I was to give you, we need 3 pieces of data from you. One is, what do you anticipate are potentially the jobs you want people to know about at the hospital in that time frame? Obviously, we don't need all the details, but maybe even think along these lines. Over the course of the year, which are the jobs that you constantly see a lot of turnover in? So maybe those jobs, we just make it as a standard posting where you're collecting resumes.
Yeah. Maybe you have some of those.
Yeah, right.
We always have an RN posting, always.
Yes, there you go. So so just looking at who are the typical job postings, and then the second piece of that is, what jobs do we know will be coming available later in the November? So just be thinking about that. Second is the housing, whatever, even if it's limited corporate housing that you have, or if you have relationships with people where you typically put people up, just getting their housing data in here. So how do we get that? Maybe if you can introduce us to the people, we can work with them to see how to get their data in here. And the third piece, which we didn't talk much about, and I'm just curious what you think about this, we're thinking of also creating an opportunity for candidates. So this is where individuals can go in and create a profile and say, this is who I am. So people can search for them based on what type of positions they're looking for, what industry they want to work in. And then basically create a profile to say, this is what I'm looking for. And then they can sort of activate their profile, and very easily you can see what, whether this person would be a fit for you or not. So those are the 3 things that we just want to start exploring and kind of working towards that 8-week-ish window of a potential launch. So, so welcome your thoughts and feedback on that.
I think there's some value to that. At the same time, do people have to really create their profile, or are you going to allow them to import things in from like LinkedIn and other places?
That's great. So yeah, we can have them create profile. Again, 3 options. You can go in and create a raw profile, meaning you don't have anything, you're typing everything in. Second, you can post your resume. Third, you can link to another site. Again, it always comes down to the searchability, which is, if I'm linking my profile to LinkedIn, then if I'm in here and you as an employer are looking for people with certain skills, you may or may not be able to search them because there's no data in here. We can only search for the information that's actually collected here. But again, we can, I think of it as sort of evolving process. So we can see, we kind of need to also talk to the employees themselves to see what are they may not want to do it. There's like, I'm not gonna create 10 profiles for myself. I don't want to do it. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think there's some value in chatting with workforce about this too, because having played, what's it called, Connecting Colorado or whatever they have out there is their big database, which does allow you to search based on skills. Yeah. Have not ever hired anyone from that, have found it not to be useful, and there's a lot of profiles in there. So I would be curious how successful that is for them. And then this seems like it's somewhere in between, because you'd have people from outside, because those people are somewhat forced to be there because they're on unemployment.
Yes.
a little bit different, but I'm just trying to think of the value add and utilization versus full blown out recruiting.
Yeah.
When you go into a LinkedIn and I'm looking for anyone with an RN license has where I could search maybe Mary Jo for a compact state RN license.
Yes.
If I had that ability. We don't have that ability here. This seems like it'd be somewhere kind of in the middle. So someone could put in that they have a compact state RN license. So we know that even if they live in Arkansas or something, they might be able to practice up here.
Right. Yep. Love it.
But if somebody were to pull up Grand County, what it's like to live here, they would probably pull up all the resorts. They wouldn't know about the small rural communities that are within this county.
That's right.
So if they would pull up Colorado and Kremlin Memorial Hospital and pull up the whole county, they would see Winter Park and Mary Jane. They won't. This isn't what they would be thinking of, a small town like this compared to the resorts on the other side of the county.
Yep.
And then when they got here, they were like, wow, you know, expecting to be in a resort community when they're not.
Yeah.
So if there's a link that could show them actually where they would be working versus the resort areas.
I like it. We've talked to, actually, this is exactly what we're talking about next with the team, is to talk. We have to present Grand County with a sort of a packaged experience. What's it like to live here? Show folks, here's what we have. If you want that sort of resorty feel, you've got that. If you want the small town, Grand Lake feel, you've got that. If you want the extremely rural, you want to feel like you're out on the, out on the edges, Kremlin is a totally different experience.
I'm Kremlin.
Yeah. Because when I tell people where I live, they automatically think I'm in a high-end resort area.
Yeah, right.
I'm in a small community.
Yes, right. Okay, I just want to show you one or two other things. That was pretty much the heart of it. There's also this internship piece that we're trying to figure out how to set it up. Our hope is to get more of our students, college students, returning college students, high school students into your organizations for internships, for summer work, etc. And we just created a very simple mechanism where if it's an employer, they can go in here and type in that they're, here's where I'm located, here's who I am, I'm looking to hire an intern. If it's a student, they can say, here's who I am, this is the type of opportunities I'm interested in pursuing. So there's really sort of two ways to go about it. This is version 1, which is fairly basic, but the same thing we can create right in here as well, directly into our jobs, where I can create jobs and let me see where they go. I can't find it, but there's supposed to be a filter on the type of job, whether it's an internship. So anyways, those are some things that we can think about further. So let me just pause there. And let me get your overall reactions and thoughts. If we get this up and run, when we get this up and running, your level of enthusiasm on scale from 1 to 10. So let's, each one of you, give me your number.
1 to 10, your level of enthusiasm of value add or it being something worthwhile.
I'm right in the middle, 5.
Who's that?
Candy, I'm right in the middle of 5.
Okay. Think about why also. I'm going to come back and ask you why, but that's good. Next one.
Mary Jo, what do you think?
I'd say 7. I like it.
Okay.
I'm going to move towards an 8 because I think I'm seeing the potential traction for it, knowing that there's some navigating that still needs to take place.
Yeah. Is that everybody? Someone else?
Yeah, I think Katie
No, I'm on the line still.
What do you think, Katie?
I'd probably say 6.
6. All right. 5, 6, 7, 8. That's perfect. These are terrible scores. I hate this. if I wouldn't even pass the class if I was getting that kind of grades, guys. Come on. Okay, so let's talk about.
Does this include all businesses in the area or just specific businesses? Just
It would be all. The goal would be to get all businesses, all jobs, all properties eventually. But we have to start very methodically with one group at a time. So, okay, now I want to hear about what we need to do to move that score to a 10. And if you can think about what did you not see, or what's something that you have a little bit of confusion or heartburn over.
My number would be higher if the accessibility would be, how would it get out to the public that this is there? How would it be advertised? How would you let the general population know that this is available?
So if we could find a way to make this more publicly visible, you think that this could be a strong tool? You'd give it a 10.
Yeah, like the high schools, the colleges, if they knew right off the bat something like this, my daughter would be interested in looking at something like this because she wants to intern, but in veterinarian, but she doesn't know anything like this would exist. The only way she would be able to find out is through the school.
Yep. So that's good. We do have the schools on board. The schools are on board with this platform, so that would be very easy. Basically, we would make sure that through the schools, through the career counselors, that every student knows of this site, that they spend a little bit of time, they want to create a profile on there or just go and play around, just so folks know, and then they
that would bring my number up to an 8 then.
Look at that.
So I've got 2 kids in school, one in college and one in high school, and they would be interested in looking at a site that brings everything together for them.
Okay, now I got 2 8s, and I can move the 8 to a 10 if we can do a better job of promoting. Got it. I love it. Okay, who wants to go next? Who gave us a 6?
Katie?
Hi, Dad.
Katie, what can we do to make this better?
Okay. I'm hoping my service days I've been cutting in.
And out.
Yeah. Breaking up a little bit. Try again. It's not working. How about this? If our voice connection doesn't work, if you can email us your thoughts, would absolutely welcome that. Okay, Mary Jo, what are your thoughts?
I like it. I probably have the same concerns like Candy, how people are going to know about it. You might try Grand County garage sale. That's another avenue where people really use it, the local people, for information.
Yeah.
I like it. I just know that a lot of the younger generation is using something like this. Older generation still uses the phone.
Yeah.
Still uses the yellow pages, etc. So trying to connect them both.
Okay, that's good. Kathy?
I like the idea of the platform. I like it coming together and being one-stop shop that way. My concerns are the ability, and I know it can't address everything, but because the county is so incredibly different from daycare being available in Granby and nothing in Kremling.
Yeah.
Just making sure that people can get an accurate picture and that it's linking out to the right places and being inclusive that way, and not necessarily just to players, because it's and I know you have to start with big players, but I do think in these rural communities there's a lot of independent, family-owned small businesses that could truly benefit from this, but may not have the skills, resources, or activity to know how to play in this space.
Yeah.
So all of your feedback was much more around the usability and how we make sure others get on board, which I'm glad.
Or help them get on board.
Yes, how do we help them get on board? None of you really spoke about the functionality, which is, I take it as a compliment, which is generally the way it's structured works. If we get people on board, then you'll feel more enthusiastic and sort of more confident in your assessment.
Yeah, I think your platform works, and I think the framework is there, and so it's going to come down to the quality of the content within and how it's populated. But I think that the framework and navigation is user friendly, and I do think as a recruiter, it's easier for me to say, "Hey, check out the site."
Yeah.
So I would like to see more lifestyle. That's what I'd love to see, whether it's testimonials, a video, and I know that's all like down the road.
Yes.
But I would love to get some testimonials from a variety of businesses, everything from the local accounting firm to Winter Park to a ranch, and kind of have that little ad about Grand County and show those life stories in there when you get to that piece of it, the aesthetic piece.
Got it. Beautiful. All right. Well, your feedback was gold. I really appreciate it. I've got lots of notes here, and we will be back to you in a few weeks. As we get closer to the launch date, we want your feedback to see how we can structure this and get ready for it. But really appreciate feedback. Please keep thinking about what all we talked about, and if you want to share this with other folks as well. Any additional thoughts that come up even later, you have my contact information.
Okay. Is that a real URL? I mean, are you allowed to play in the beta right now, or?
You can. Don't share it. It's going to be a bit of a mess in the next few weeks because we're playing with it. So as long as you promise not to judge.
I can't post it on my Instagram or.
Yeah, but you can go to brand.business911.org to be able to view that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well,
Thanks
thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Really appreciate your time.
You too.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.